Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the RuneQuest rules by Chaosium Incorporated. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and rune magics are on the way. As this is our Glorantha, we will remind listeners that it may vary from the one you already know and love. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your storyteller Michael. I am back playing RuneQuest. I have a wonderful story for you, but I cannot tell it alone. And so this special episode, I'll be joined by the player to my right.
Hi, I'm Heather. I am playing Lysanna of Cliffshield, a young apprentice healer of the Heraborn, daughter of the healer Nyana Call, and granddaughter of Lysanna, a chariot rider in service of the Feathered Horse Queen. Hail and well met, all.
Hail indeed. So we're going to open the curtain tonight. But before we do, I'm going to just advise our listening audience that this story and the tale that we'll tell of this riddle, we'll say, is one where certain topics might be viewed in a different light based on the age that we're in. We're not viewing them through the lens of a modern light. And so some of the material here is mature, and listener discretion is absolutely advised. We break the day in sea season on movement week in clay day. Just 2 weeks after the wonderful marriage that you got to take part in. You have spent the better part of the day in an unusual state. You were assisting your mother with some of her regular daily duties when you began to feel nauseous, uncomfortable. A sweat came to you. Your mother did what she could. She inquired, a very sharp-eyed mother that you have, knows when her daughter is not feeling right. During the midday, a soreness begin at your back, your lower back. Your clothes don't feel right at all. But you continued on, because that's what women of your household do. You didn't complain. You kept moving to the next longhouse to make sure that one of the stead's youngest babies is still being well fed, that the mother is in well care, and you're making sure that life is continuing on. In the early afternoon, you get nauseous again in a very different way. And you take a moment to yourself there, just at the edge of the Vale's tree line, to try to get some fresh air, some break from the longhouses and their humid air. And you feel something on your leg. It feels like you're being tickled. And there's this pain in your abdomen now.
I think I will take a moment and kind of kneel down, kind of sit stretch out my leg, see if I can figure out what's tickling me, and just kind of use that almost as an excuse to kind of rest for a moment as I kind of hold with one arm.
You have been sick before. You have had stomach illnesses before, whether it be just a new cook, perhaps in the longhouse, or maybe it is a dish that you're not necessarily the largest fan of. This is different. Your day today has been altogether strange. Breakfast didn't taste right. It smelled wrong. Even as you sit now, trying to take a moment to yourself, all of the clothes in your body feel wrong.
Oh, Earth Mother, what now? Need to keep going.
Lysanna, you hear your mother call you.
Mother.
Come here.
Yes, I'll be there in just a moment. Do I discover the source of the itching?
You do. It's not so much, itching is perhaps one way to put it. Pain is another. You find the source. Upon inspection, there is something that you take away from your fingertips that is not supposed to be there. At least you don't believe so. These sort of dark and red, ruddy fluid blood is on your fingertips.
As the daughter of a healer, as someone who is an apprentice healer herself, would I be at all familiar, maybe more so than the average woman, of what this is probably, the beginning of my cycle?
Yeah, this is your first. The blood has arrived. And as you sort of stare back at your fingertips, the grasses nearby telegraph that your mother's feet are approaching. And she arrives, and there's this silence between the two of you for just a moment. And she very lovingly puts her hand on your shoulder, and she says, "Come with me."
Yes, Mother. And I kind of put my pant leg down and kind of pull myself back together and go, "Oh, I'm going to have to wash these out now."
You are taken back to the longhouse, your Stad's longhouse, directly. Your mother seems to whisk away any concerns or calls from others. It seems as if you are now her sole priority. When you get back to the longhouse, you are taken into a space normally reserved for your parents. And she draws across this space some furs and cloth to give you a semblance of privacy. The same that she would put up when you see her and your father go to bed.
Yeah.
Right? Same type. And she coaxes you to lay on a smaller bedding that they have beside theirs. One that your mother has used before for young children.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Lie down here. No one will disturb you."
Yes, Mother. And I stretch out as best I can with the pain.
She exits the space, and you hear her say a few things. She says something to one of the men who is coming through the longhouse, and she very pointedly says, "Do not disturb Lysanna." And she moves out of the space for what seems like minutes, perhaps longer. You get hit by a wave of nausea and dizziness. It is very difficult to come to grips with initially. It feels like your insides are being used as a child's toy.
Or the gnomes of the earth are within chipping, not necessarily chipping, but scraping away within of my insides. So this, and I'm thinking, so this is what it feels like. This is what they experience. This is what I've seen. Oh.
You hear your grandmother's voice in the longhouse.
I stop whatever thought I have and look around. I think I sit up and look around wide-eyed. I internally kind of open myself up to listen.
Begin to hear her voice, what you believe is her voice, other voices of other women. Your mother's voice joined them in this hushed tone, a wise words being spoken back and forth between them, though their wisdom is beyond your reach at the moment. The 10 flat moves, and your mother moves in with another older woman, whom you would call grandmother just out of respect, in her hands, these tight, wrinkled hands, she holds a cup of tea and she leans down and offers it to you. Your mother says, "Drink as much of it as you can."
As I take the cup, "Yes, Mother. Thank you, Grandmother."
She nods and smiles.
And I take a sip.
It's like drinking tree bark. It's bitter. It does not taste good. Your vision swirls after drinking it. It does not help the nausea, at least immediately, although the rumbling in your abdomen begins to dim a little, and the lights go out for you. At some point, you awake in the evening. Your mother is there on her bedding beside you, patiently waiting, humming a very calming tune. And when your eyes eventually flutter open, she seems to get ready to stand and then stops.
I'm sorry. How long was I out?
Hours, child. They are here for you. She stands up. As she stands up, a small woman passes through this curtain that's been raised. Her spectral form moves between the curtains, just as air passing through a window. There is a moment of fright that takes hold. And then you see that this form is draped in a cloth raiment that only the most favored of priestesses of Ernalda would wear. And your mother extends a hand to you to help you up to your feet.
I stand.
The figure, the ghostly figure, is joined by 3 or 4. They begin to fill the space. All very similarly dressed, all with no malice or aggressiveness in their nature, all very calm and knowing. And they huddle with that first one there for a moment. And through your mother, their hand passes through her stomach towards you. And you hear her voice through your mother's mouth say, "You must come with us."
I look for a moment to my mother's eyes. I'm guessing I'm probably seeing, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Your mother's eyes are a swirl of white and green. It's almost as if a stone has replaced her eyes, each one. And if you didn't know it any better, you would say that jade has replaced those irises.
I can take a deep breath and I square up my shoulders, hold myself square, and I extend my hand out. "Yes, I will come."
You feel your mother's touch at your hand, and she leads you out of the longhouse. It's dark. You see no other faces within the house when you leave. Under that canopy of beauty that the veil gives you, the path that you walk is joined by several people. Different women of the stead, those you've interacted with. You might call them mother, you might call them grandmother by respect. But these spirits pick them up along the way and create a processional with you towards a place that you know of, but have not been inside of. And that is the riddle. that square opening in the side of the mountain that serves as the place of honor for Vale-born women who pass into the lands of the dead. The Riddle is the place of Ernalda's power here among the Heraborn. But it is also the place of the dead. It is a place that you know where women pass through this, they go to die. And so there is trepidation in each step as you get closer towards this place. You can see Morganath there beside the Riddle waiting. Her elderly form is still imbued with respect and perhaps a little fear because she is the high priestess. And as you gain on her position, as you get closer and closer to Morgana, the physical, the live bodies dwindle. And only those draped in those spiritual raiments continue.
I try not to let any fear show. I'm sure that there is some there. Just I'm surrounded by spirits. While I'm pretty sure they have no harm, I also know that they're spirits. Seeing Morgana there will bring both a level of comfort and a level of trepidation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good word. But I will force myself not to pause. I will continue to walk as steadily as possible.
You are barefoot, as your feet and ankles remind you upon walking to the Riddle, which is by majority stone rather than grass. The hands of these veiled women go to your clothes, and they strip you of them.
I will keep a brave face while this is happening as much as I'm able to.
The first shiver comes after the moon watches you overhead. Just as you'd come into the world from your mother, bereft of any clothes, that shiver comes, and when it does, it racks your shoulders and your knees a little. Morgana looks at you. She turns to you, her blind eyes starry bright under the moon. And she says, "We must journey in." You see the fierce carving along the Riddle of Babistagor, proud, ready to defend any woman defamed, anyone whom Ernalda would ask her to defend. That axe is always sharp, they say. Morgana steps forward and she says, "Not in there." She leans close and places her weathered hand against your abdomen just under your navel. "In here, to the source of your power." And she stands up to her full height and turns and strides with absolute confidence into the Riddle. The veiled women are around you in a moment's notice, and they begin covering you in incense. It smells like grass and different types of tree bark. You get a crown of flowers put on your head, and they begin to hum this harmonic tune that gets into your eardrums and won't let go. You get washed with exceedingly cold water.
Mhm.
There is a scent to it, though. Perhaps morning mountain flowers? They give you more tea.
I will let them lead through these actions. And I'm sure as the water hits to wash, I'm thinking I will never not appreciate even a lukewarm bath at this point from here on. But I will allow them to do what they're doing and with their lead. And then when the tea is offered, hold it out and, with gratitude and nod and thank you. Thank you, grandmother. Thank you. And then I will and drink back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much the same as you tasted in the longhouse. Bitter, difficult to drink. But on the plus side, the tea is warm. It extends that warmth inside your body, which helps at least a little bit from the very, we'll just say, refreshing bath you were given.
Yeah.
When you finish with the tea, they take it from you, and a simple spectral arm points to the riddle. That square doorway.
I take a minute, take a few deep breaths, close my eyes, open them high, and I walk with purpose through the opening.
There is no light inside the riddle. And so your hands hunt for the passageway. It feels like some things are here with you. There is a sense beyond these walls and within this passageway that there are eyes that watch you. Every step gives you another chill. It feels like arms pass over your shoulders. And so I will ask, what is it that Lysanna fears the most?
Lysanna fears being left alone, but not necessarily in a physical sense. She's lost, loss is part of the day-to-day, especially in her world as a healer. I think it's a matter of losing probably her community, her support, her, those that would guide, those she looks to guide her.
You remember an awful lot about what was said, what has been said about the riddle, that it was made in the Green Age, that the myths say it is death to enter for all but the High Priestess, that no torches will burn, no light will shine. Your walk, you're feeling the way forward, brings you all sorts of visions. You see yourself standing somewhere in the Vale. It is winter. Snow blankets a space where many trees have gone brittle. You're standing alone. You see many footsteps behind you. Footsteps you've made. You know that you are lacking in food. You're out here hunting for yourself. And you feel the weight of hunting for just yourself as it becomes unbearable. There is no longhouse to return to. You can feel the dampness of tears on your face as you think about being isolated from everyone. So I'm going to have you roll POW times 5. So what's your POW?
POW is 16.
Okay. So your POW is 16. So that is 80 or under.
79.
Nice. I'd like you to tell me, with that vision in mind, how that projection of yourself would overcome the feeling of isolation. How would she get beyond it? How would she conquer it?
If she feels that she has lost everything, she would stop for a minute and allow what she's feeling to just feel it fully. Let it almost embrace and surround her so that she feels it all the way through. And then closing her eyes and reaching kind of inward, would look for the memory she has of the first real loss that she remembers feeling, the one that changed her. And that was losing the loss of her baby brother. She would try to remember what she could of that moment just before he died and how she felt. And then she would try to remember what the first thing her mother would have told her after that moment, after her mother was recovering, and how death is only one part of the life cycle, and that what we lose is never fully gone. And as long as we keep it in our hearts and our minds and our tales and our songs, they forever live within our blood. Those who came before us, those who came after, those who we are part of. For as long as one survives, all survive in some form. For the gods never forget, and neither should we. And she allows that thought, almost pictures it like a tiny candle flame within her, and mentally holds that candle to her. So with that inward image thought in her head, she would reopen her eyes and take that first step forward again. And every time she wants to stop, because that cloak of aloneness feels too heavy, she will stop, focus on that flame, so to speak, and take one more step.
Yeah, the flame that you picture in your mind, a reflection of that flame appears on one of the walls here. It flickers as you move. It gives you a guidepost to move forward. And you begin to feel and see that the pathway is not simply straight, and that it is moving to the right. It is curving and continues to curve. And with each affirmation of that candlelight, you continue to move down and to the right, and down and to the right. Around this final bend, you find a square doorway made of stone. Beyond that doorway, Morganath waits. When she sees you, she pays you forward.
I move to her.
5 souls stir in their sleep inside you, and you must awaken each one. 5 souls, 5 senses, 5 elements, 5 seasons. Without the gifts these souls bestow, you can never be a true woman. She does something unexpected. She puts her hand on your face, and she comforts you. In that moment of comfort, she looks at you, blind eyes still, but she gives you a spike of encouragement. She says, "We all fear different things, but we all have the will to overcome them. These elements will come to you in the form of young gods, lovers, partners, sons, brothers. You may conquer each by knowing what he needs. It is in the knowing that your power lies. Remember your stories. You walk in the footsteps of the goddess. Remember to do as the goddess did, and you will come across safely." She steps partly to the side and extends her hand towards the next stone doorway, which leads directly back into darkness.
One last lingering look onto Morganath. May the Earth Mothers be with me.
The tunnel continues, still gently curving to the right. You see a pale emerald light illuminating the walls. After some walking, you begin to feel grass under your feet, a buzz of insects. Birds begin to sing. The air starts to smell like spring. The tunnel opens into a cavern, and you can see that there seems to be a replica here. It looks much like your home village. It's much larger, though. And the colors here are more vibrant than you can remember. The air is warmer. Your body feels warm. There are fragrances on the air that you don't remember smelling as powerfully as you do now. Everything here is intense. Not in an unpleasant way, but it feels so much more vibrant than the place that you were in. It's pleasant to walk here. The colorful village is easily drawing you forward. Up ahead, you see your mother. You see aunts. You see grandmothers of the stead. And many of them look to you and encourage you to continue. They join you on the path. They ply you with sweet honey and good breads. And that's really when you realize how hungry you are. There is something within you that must feed.
Well, I will, as they come, and I will smile and thank them and be gracious and enjoy the honey-sweetened breads and take in the nourishment that they offer.
Yes, it's a very strange experience. You don't think you've ever experienced anything quite like this before. There is something about this space, the the sounds, the smells, the way people around you seem to just cater to you. You get gifts. Yes, whether they be dolls or whether they be trinkets for your hair. It seems very intoxicating.
I will enjoy this. It is a nice, pleasant change from what I have just gone through, and I will take in and absorb not just the physical offerings that they give to me, but almost like I'm absorbing that energy, that together, that community, that care and love and the wisdom and everything. And I will just kind of suck that up almost internally like a sponge after feeling completely bereft of everything, and just kind of take that in, almost trying to store it up, bottle it internally to hold on to, because whatever trials may be coming, I have a feeling I'm probably going to need it if that's what I just came through. So
it is a little difficult to bottle such a thing. It is more that you try to ride the wave of enjoyment.
Yes.
The sounds and smells stir something in you that you are not familiar with. You don't have a direct correlation with yet. It is a intense and pleasurable feeling that you've not felt before. And while you have continued this journey, you've gotten to a point in the village where you are looking out near the veil, and from behind you, you hear the sound of water, and water rushes over your feet, down a hill, down further, out towards somewhere else. And you feel this intense urge to follow that water.
I take a few last bites of the honeyed bread, and allow the last few bits to be put in, trinkets put in my hair. And this is where it feels like it's taking me. Then I will ride this element as remembering Morganeth's words about the 5 elements and the 5. Maybe this is the first calling. So I will follow the water.
You do so. You ride the wave all the way to the edge of the sea. You see that there is a great mountain beyond this ocean, greater even than the mighty Carofin. It dominates the horizon here. And that urge inside of you that brought your feet to this water, to this edge of this ocean, now surges up into your mind, and the mountain becomes a focal point of your desire. You must find a way to that mountain.
The mountain across the water. I will probably start by looking around and seeing if there is any means to cross this water besides my own 2 arms and 2 legs.
Certainly. Where the stream meets the ocean, a white fountain of water suddenly appears. It shoots up into the air. It grows and grows and grows even taller than you are. After a few moments of this water spattering the beach, a handsome man emerges from the water. Blue-green skin glistening here on the beach. He is, as you are, bereft of any clothing. He has a beard and a long braided hair of the deepest sea green. The fountain subsides, but he remains standing there, knee-deep in the waters. "Where are you going, O woman of earth?" he says to you. "For you have reached the end of your domain and the boundary of mine."
"I seek to reach the mountaintop across the waters, for that is where I feel called to."
He nods. "I am Zaramaka. I can bear you across the waves, woman of earth. I can carry you for all eternity and never tire. Yet what will you give me for my labors?" He smiles.
"What could I possibly give to you, O great one of the waters?"
His gaze is upon you. He looks at you and he says, "It is you I desire. Come into my arms and lie with me. Beautiful lady, lie with me, love me, and I will fill your breasts with milk, your womb with life-giving waters. And in the tides of your blood, you will possess the secrets of renewal and rebirth."
So Lysanna looks upon him. "God of the water, would I as a mortal be worthy of such attention? If you would have me and can then bear me across, then what would become of me?"
Your form and being will not change. In this way, you'll be born across the water. You will get to the mountain you seek, I guarantee.
"But if you be mine first, for I am untouched." And I kind of reach out one hand.
His form, as it reaches for yours, turns to the water of the rivers and streams and oceans of the world. He bears you across the ocean in a loving embrace, one filled with many emotions and many feelings. He is gentle when that time is near, and he is powerful enough to carry your form. And as this state of rapture arrives for you, your feet touch very carefully down on to that hardened earth of the mountain. And you now know what Gada experienced with Saramaka when the earth was bored by the sea. And now I'm going to have you roll your water rune.
That is a 27 under 40.
Okay. It is a exhilarating feeling. This part of yourself that opens and awakens. This first soul. You feel passion and arousal and all of the different subtle emotions that come with it now. You understand what that means on a spiritual level, as well as a physical level. The mountain is unlike any you have ever seen. A perfect cone reaching all the way into the clouds. You pass away from the sea and begin your ascent into the mountain. The air gets thinner, but cleaner. The spaces that you see from that height are a wonder. You look out over Gada and her children, many children, to see their wonder and their unique place within this world. Your eyes have sharpened in ways you don't even remember. You can see from one edge of the world to the other from this space. You come to a small shelf on the mountainside, a wide, flat place where it looks like farmers have tilled a field. The soil is dusty. It's baked dry here in the heat. Nothing is growing. You see a lone figure standing in that field. He's tall, thin, a young man. He bears flowers in his hair. He carries a bag of seed. And you see him frustratingly casting the seed about onto the field.
I walk up to him and give a low bow of signs of respect. Father Flamel.
He turns. Oh, hail. He casts seed in another direction. Where are you off to?
I have been borne across the sea by Zaramaka, by his loving hand. I am headed to the top of this peak.
He shakes his head. A better task than I have. I cast my seed hither and fro, but no avail. The earth is unyielding. Nothing will germinate, nothing will take root, and nothing will grow. I have no means to irrigate it. I have no cattle to offer as sacrifice.
Is it sacrifice to seek? Are you seeking to invoke for water to grow?
He nods. If I had a cattle or if I had a pig, I would sacrifice it immediately for rain. Something. I must have something that will help this field grow.
Do I feel, from what Zaramaka had told me about the waters of his embrace, do I feel like I would have anything physically that I could contribute to this?
Possibly. You are as in tune with your body as you have been. You've never been as in tune with your body as you are now. And you do know that Ernalda agreed to give her waters to germinate Flamel's seed. And in doing so, set a pattern that men and women follow in the act of reproducing.
Perhaps, Father, I may be of service to you in this regard. For I have been borne across the waters by Zaramaka, who have filled me with the waters. Perhaps I may be able to water your seeds.
Oh, he kneels by you and he reaches for your hand. I will be forever loyal and loving if you would do so. Blessed life giver, I promise the secret of the seed to you and entrust all my seed to you so that it may come alive. And you see him weep.
I take my hand and wipe away his tears and draw him in close to me. Father, plant thy seed, and I shall be thy water.
He turns and reaches into his bag, and he begins with his hands very carefully putting seeds into a line in the dirt here. And when he gets to a row finished, he turns and he seems to wait.
Once he stands back, I would to go over to the row, to the beginning of the row, suppose, and straddle it.
Certainly.
Sort of squatting part way down.
When you squat down, your body takes over, and that soil becomes like a ruddy brown color as part of your blood germinates the field. And it takes only but a moment, but the entire row springs to life in this immediate blossoming of life. And you feel the heat of the day take you, and that inner fire that comes with knowing that you're a life giver now. And I will have you roll against your fire rune.
That is a 94 over 30.
Okay. Flamal escorts you up the slopes of the mountain, happy to be of service to you. He makes your pathway that much easier. And before you know it, you have arrived at the peak of this cosmic mountain. Under an azure sky, golden stars twinkle from above. A golden palace awaits. The court of the bright Emperor Yelm stands before you. It is everything one could want in an imperial palace. Grand marble statues, beautiful gold inlays, whether they be on the floor or on the walls, pictures, dawn. You see down the halls here bright faces, his servitors, and an even brighter glow coming from beyond. The great throne of Yelm towers over the main hall, made of gold and topaz and amber. There is a throne beside it, the Empress Dendra. The guards here are in radiant armor. They lead you before the throne, and Yelm gazes down upon you. Eyes burning, face so bright you cannot gaze too terribly long into it. Such beauty, the Solar Emperor purrs. You will make a welcome addition to my hall. I assume you can cook, weave, that you know the ways of raising children. These tasks are too menial for the hands of my empress, but I will make you mistress of the loom house, the nursery, and the kitchens. The others shall know you are my favored concubine and obey your commands. His voice thunders around the hall.
I have been so taught by my mother, taught by her mother before her, and hers, and back through the line of my ancestors. I know of the ways of the cooking, the weaving, the raising, bearing of children.
Good. We shall see your efforts increase my house and its glory. He casts a armored hand out, and servants come and lead you to an inner portion of this grand complex. And here you see many different tasks before you. You feel different, though. Your body is changing again. Your skin has taken on a greener tinge than you are used to. Your hair now long, beautiful, chestnut brown. It wraps around your shoulders. Your breasts have grown. You feel more like the women that you've seen in the Vale, more like Janira, bold, beautiful, ample. The tasks they have for you are ones which any Vale woman would know. They set you there amongst them. First, at the loom. Yelm's assistants ask if there is anything you require. They're here to help.
Is the loom already set up?
Mm-hmm.
Thread, everything?
You bet. They simply need someone to work the loom. So the way this portion of it's going to work is you're going to be tasked with crafting a few things.
Okay.
So there's some skill rolls here involved, but they're sort of intermixed between the scenes. So I'll ask you, essentially, if you have any craft weaving.
No.
That's okay. Because I am going to let you roll your earth rune instead.
Okay. That's much better. That is a 45 under 60.
You begin your weave. You create something in that. And so I'll ask you, what does Lysanna make? What does she create for the Emperor Yelm?
The first creation would be a sash, golden, that would look as if the rays of the sun themselves would be wrapped around him. The rays of the sun through the blue in the sky. So that would be the first. The second, because she would make 3 things. That would be the first. The second would be a blanket. Softest, warm, but not bulky blanket. Something that would serve well that could be easily carried, and so he could keep himself warm as he would go into battle. Something he could lie upon in the night with whomever he chose to and be comfortable. It would show his riding through the sky upon his a golden chariot.
Certainly.
Pulled by the brightest of what could be fire, could be horses, showing in glorious battle. So it almost could double as a tapestry, but would be still of the softest, lightest touch.
Okay.
And the third would actually be, it would be the equivalent of almost like a sari, where it would be wrapped as a dress, not for him, but for Dendra. And it would be light and airy and would make her only enhance her beauty and assets, so that she would look every inch of her position.
Something to flatter the Empress. That will certainly gain Yelm's favor, no doubt. Your position here at the loom does give you the opportunity to watch the court of Yelm. And as you do, you see a young man appear in the court of Yelm. And for a moment, you think it might be Varghast. Perhaps. It's hard to say. He appears vigorous, perhaps a bit wild. You see that he has taken to challenging Yelm to a dance. There are some rules placed back and forth. There are people who begin to judge these dances. Yelm is glorious in his dancing. The young man, is a bit too wild, like a dervish. And the young man moves into some sort of war dance. The judges declare Yelm the winner. And the young man leaves a little perturbed. And so the second of your many duties arrive. And in the second one, I'm going to ask you to make a manage household roll. And this is your supervision of the kitchens.
Okay.
Now remember, technically speaking, because we're in a RuneQuest session, you could call upon a rune to inspire you.
Ah, that is true. You know what? I will do that. As I am, once the second task is presented to me, or at least I'm led to the entrance of this householdish area, that it becomes obvious on what they want me to do. I will take a moment and close my eyes and press my hand to the top of my one to the top of my forehead and one to my belly. Ernalda, I do not faint at the sight of blood. I welcome new life and put it to rest. I am not sure I can do this. You would see so that I may do this without looking a fool be most appreciated. And I just take a moment, pull my hands away and open my eyes.
Okay, so what rune are you going to call though?
My earth rune.
Your earth rune?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your earth rune.
Oh, that worked well. That's an 8 under 60.
Okay.
Heck, I actually could have worked with managed household. I had a 15.
No, that's okay. You manage the kitchens like you've seen your mother do before. Things in order, things in process, and things complete. And you manage to hum a few bars of a tune that your mother uses when she is at the ladle, and it seems to sweep the kitchen into order. During this time, that young man returns. And when he returns, he challenges Yelm to a contest of magic. And the two are judged by the spell work that they do, their incantations, their effects. Yelm displays something that is a wonder. He harmonizes with existence around him. And every golden feature of his palace hums with the same bar. It's astonishing. The man who comes, this upstart, some call him Orlanth, he shows the court change. He becomes a whirlwind in the court. It blows many tapestries aside. It pushes some of the judges' chairs because of its intensity and fury. And then he reforms into this powerful man. But the judges, again, rule in favor of Yelm. And this time, there is anger on the young man's face. You are taken to another station within this beautiful palace. And there are people here who are hurt. And they need guidance and assistance. It's possible that some of them may have been hurt during the man's display of his wondrous powers. And so I'll ask Lysanna to aid these with first aid.
Yeah. And that is the 33 under 45.
You are helping. You are doing your best to aid. And as you do, this man, Orlanth, returns to challenge Yelm again, but this time music. And Yelm, ever the well-studied musician, crafts a harp from gold. He wills strings into existence and turns this object into something resonant and beautiful, and plucks it with the perfection that only the Emperor could. And you hear a noise after that, which on the air sounds like a goose honking. It sounds like several gooses honking, and perhaps one that has had an elongated digestive problem. There is a bag in this man's hands and several wooden reeds that stick out of it. He presses his lips to one of these reeds and creates a foul noise. The entire court bursts into laughter. Much of it much of it at Orlanth, but some laughter at Yelm. When Orlanth passes out of the chamber, he moves directly past you, and he says, "Your laugh is like music, so pure that I would like to bring it with me. If you will promise to share that music with me again, I would take you any place."
Good musician. How could a girl refuse for anyone who would challenge the might of Yelm, and with such an instrument as that? I believe that I can easily provide for you.
He nods. "Leave with me." And you go to speak or move, and something comes out of your mouth that you were not expecting. You hear your own voice say, "There are tests you must pass to win me. You must challenge the Emperor of the world first." He holds your gaze and nods, and you hear him whisper in your ear, "Next time." He marches from the hall, and as he does, Yelm's assistants take you to your final test. And here, near the hall, you see a line of godlings, children of Yelm, young, sweet-faced, and beautiful. But so many of them are in need of a wet nurse, for Yelm's children hunger. So I'll ask, do you have loyalty, Haraborn? Or perhaps love family?
I have loyalty, holy country. I have loyalty, Sartar, and so loyalty, feathered horse queen.
Do you have any love passions?
Love family, love clan, love loyalty clan, loyalty tribe. So yes, love family.
Yeah,
yes.
I would like you to roll your love family passion.
Okay. Let's just go with it. Oh yeah, that's a 43 under 60.
Okay. You give life to Saramaka's gift. You supply Yelm's children with what they need in the moment. You're able to calm the nursery and the babies, the godlings who take their residence there. It is during this time that the court is being assembled for a contest of weapons. Yelm stands radiant, firing arrows at Orlanth, each one striking Orlanth in the heart. When they strike Orlanth's heart, they wither and blacken, leaving Orlanth unburnt. And you see a figure behind Orlanth, behind the corner. You see a wily-eyed being, a man, wiry, with a strange smirk on his face. And when it comes to Orlanth's turn for this contest of weapons, he pulls from behind his back a weapon, a sword made of darkness. It roils in the court. You see its perfect edges gleam even in the golden light here. Your heart hammers hard in your chest. It feels like a terrible thing to look upon. 2 quick strides. Orlanth steps towards Yelm, and when he does, he drives this sword into Yelm's chest. The mountain shakes. The floor, The marble, beautiful gold inlaid floor shatters and cracks. The walls begin to tumble. And you sit in the audience as the light bleeds out of Yelm. And then a rush of things happen. You find yourself in your bedchambers. Handmaidens are there. They're preparing some sort of escape as this beautiful palace is coming down around you. Everything has been packed up. This beautiful loom stands to be destroyed, or it is too large for you to take. You remember the feeling of your fingers working the loom, and you feel the loss, or what will be the loss, of this grand instrument. And just as you're about to leave, the door opens, and Orlanth appears in the room. "My love, we must go." He reads that concern on your face. He reaches out and he shrinks the loom with his hands, and he puts it into a pouch and gives it to you.
Where would we go?
Away from this place. The palace will fall.
Why destroy such beauty and light?
It was the only way to have you. He sweeps you up into the air. And you, for the moment, exit the palace through a window on a tunnel of air. Memories pass like these shifting winds around you. At first, they belong to someone else. And then to you, they move back and forth and back and forth. The world is covered in storm and darkness. The gods of shadow and the underworld flee to the surface to escape Yelm, who now is dead and imprisoned. Winter marches irrevocably down from the north. You see yourself with Orlanth, his lover, his wife, the mother of his children, his queen. But as these visions come, Orlanth comes and goes. He fights endless battles, and you are left to rule in the hall alone. Winter is falling. The dark deepens, and everything and everyone is dying, falling. They follow Yelm into the underworld. And then Flamal is missing. The children nearby weep with hunger and cold. And worst of all, an enemy is coming for you. Your servants, your maidens say it. Nantraya, whose love you once spurned, he has planned revenge. And you know that with Orlanth and his war band away, you are defenseless. The hall you sit in, Orlanth's hall, is empty. The fires burn low this evening. And from the shadows, someone comes to you. Handsome, dark, black hair and eyes. He is known to you, Argan, Argar. He has filled your bed in Orlanth's absence. He smells like mulled wine and spices. He kneels. My beautiful queen, what troubles you?
Husband is gone, and there is no one to defend me. Death comes. And I do not think I can stop it.
He nods. Argan has always been an excellent listener. That is the comfort you have taken for so many seasons now, is that he listens. My mother taught me, oh my queen, never to face the enemy head on, and never to look for solutions in the light. If the enemy is too great for your strength, lead it into darkness. Make an ally of the shadow. Make deception your cloak. Learn not to see and do what is obvious, but to listen for what is hidden. For the opponent, the enemy can see, it can attack. The unseen opponent is unassailable.
So to hide or to deceive, which for only one can truly be chosen.
In your bedchambers, you and your handmaidens discuss this troubling issue. Although one, Jera, suggests an interesting path. Everything around us is dying, my queen. What if Nantria believed you to be dead as well? Yes. You hear, Estenda. You could go to the house of your dread aunt. Even Nantria could not find you in the hall of Tykoratek.
I had a similar thought. For either to hide within the shadows, to wrap the darkness around me as a cloak, but to pretend, to deceive, to embrace the veil of death without releasing my own life. That maybe, yes, Tykoratek would take me in, even if only until the danger is past. Prepare us. We leave.
They do so. They prepare a winding sheet. They place you upon a bier. A grand procession leaves the hall of Orlanth. Everyone weeping and wailing. On the road, your perceptions pick up that the army of Nantria is here. You feel like prey as a wolf walks amongst the procession, looking back and forth, hungry to find you. And so I'm going to ask you to roll one of two things. Either act, or I will let you roll your charisma times 3.
Oh, we're doing charisma times 3. We are definitely doing charisma times 3. And that's math. So that's 51. Okay.
All right, under 51 then.
That is a 19.
Okay. Nantria grumbles. You hear the wolf growl out the words, "Truly, she is dead." Terror grips you as the bier moves along. You realize you cannot move. It feels as if your breath has stopped. Limbs feel deathly cold. No sensation in your feet. This procession continues, and just at the edge of your sight line, you see where they are taking you. You see the square doorway of the Riddle. Your handmaidens carry you inside, round and round in those shadows. They walk so far, and the path is so dark, you cannot hear their footsteps. Darkness swallows every sound. You hear a voice speak from the darkness, strong, purposeful, but also cold. She sleeps. She is not dead. The veil is removed. A very faint light surrounds a figure. You see Morganath again. Or is that Tychoratek? A terrifying image. Your mind is thrown into a series of conflicting thoughts. You are Lysanna. You are Ernalda. You are in the Riddle. You are still in the underworld. Dead women surround you. They stroke your cheeks with an icy, mummified hand. Frigid breath comes from the grave. It fills your nostrils. In your ear, Tychoratek whispers, "Everyone fails. Everyone dies." This is how an initiation ends. That girl you were, she is dead. Your face is covered again. You are left to lie there. Days, weeks, centuries. You are unable to tell. I'm going to ask you to roll against your darkness rune now.
That is a 61 over 20.
Okay. You are not certain how long you lay there, but new breath arrives, warm and full of life. Your shroud is pulled back, and Orlanth, or is that Vargan, kisses you while you still lay on the bier. Air fills your lungs again after an eternity of emptiness. The darkness is broken by light. Orlanth is gone.
Is it the dawn? The dawn of a new day.
You feel life in your limbs. Your chest rises and falls. You're within a great cavern. There are countless corpses, all in their winding sheets laid across the wide, smooth floor here. Others are placed in positions of honor, inset into walls, and there is a golden light there. Yes, there. Across the way.
I will sit up, swing my legs carefully over the side. I will stand up and look around at the remains. Thank you, mothers. Thank you, grandmothers. Thank you, ancestors. I shall take your wisdom with me all my days, and I will look up the light, and I will walk purposefully towards it.
There is this place beyond where you are. The light shines here. You see the light shining in this space, the ceiling domed, the floor smooth as glass. There are white flecks on the ceiling, and the light is Yelm, now just the golden sun. It hangs there, suspended in midair in this chamber. Beside that, you see a constellation that you recognize, Orlanth's ring. A green star and 7 orange ones. Beneath them, in the room, bathed in that, you see a loom and the undeniable form of Ernalda at the loom. 6 handmaidens around her, indescribably beautiful, each one in their own way. Bare-breasted, jeweled, that skin so many stories have told is that beautiful C-shaped green, kissed with just the tiniest amount of spring. White strands of silk are coming from the darkness, and Ernalda and these handmaidens are gathering them up and weaving furiously. You see her eyes fall upon you, and you don't hear her say anything. In your body, you hear Ernalda say, "We could use another pair of hands."
Of course, Mother, that I may be of service. And I step in and I begin gathering along with the handmaidens.
Beyond Ernalda in this dark space, you see a form, a monstrous spider. Immense. This is where the silk is coming from. Ernalda speaks to you and says, "We give birth to time, daughter. Come and claim your birthright."
And I step forward to her.
You are immediately hammered with pain in your lower abdomen. You look down at your swollen belly and the very waters that Zaramaka filled you with expel from your body down your thighs to cover your feet. And a rush of energy transforms you. Ernalda continues to weave, as do the handmaidens. You're overcome and forced to fall backward, to get to the ground, to ground yourself here near the goddess herself, that ultimate earth.
I will step back and spread my legs and fall into a squat, allowing the pain to flow through my body, accepting it, embracing it, of realizing this is part of it, even though I have never felt anything like it before. For I remember my mother's words to the women who in childbirth. And I keep those words in my head as I allow that feeling to rush through my body, the water and the blood coming forth as I feel through my belly.
I'm going to ask you to make a POW times 5 roll.
That's 80. Okay. $24 under 80.
From the spider silk and the 5 ages of the gods, we wove the pattern that now binds the cosmos. As it took 5 ages to birth time, 5 ages to birth the first sunrise, and 5 ages to birth the first spring, it now takes 5 seasons to birth a new child. For just as mortal kind inherited the cosmic from the gods, each generation inherits the world from the last. You, as we did, create the future. You can see all manner of things coming from this loom as Ernalda's fingers weave what is given to her, as your contractions continue. She weaves animal life and humanity and the patterns of the seasons and the stars. You came here to die, she says, but your immortality lies in your power to weave the threads of life. You are the loom in which eternity is reborn. You are a woman now. I'll have you roll against your air rune now.
That's a 6 under 20.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The climax of the birth comes.
As I scream and hold my hand to catch the life that is now emerging from my body.
You catch something, you feel a form, and you cannot stay conscious completely. Moments later, you're lying on the cold, hard floor of a cavern. It is black again. Ernalda and her handmaidens are gone. The tunnel around her, where such a beautiful weave over the tapestry was going on, is nowhere near as grand or as vast as it had been. There is a form there on the floor. It is much larger than you expected. You recognize yourself on the floor. The woman you were. That was the girl that was. She died giving birth to the woman that is. This voice says from behind you.
She belonged to Voria of the spring, virginal, untouched, unknown, to pass from the girl that was into this womanhood I now understand, for I could never be her again. And I turn.
You turn to see a woman standing there, proud, strongly built, noble features, braided hair of the deepest brown. I am Yvarn, daughter of Gerasente, mother of Golan, mother of Divancentis, wife of Hort. I am your mother. I am the mother of all Hera-born women. She steps forward. I welcome you to your people. Like you, I slept the sleep of death. I had given all I had, not to create new life as you have done now, but to keep hunger and hurt and loss from extinguishing it. This is the burden of our power, to give life. We are then responsible for it. She extends a hand towards a tunnel space. Walk with me.
Nod, and I follow.
The seasons of our year reflect the ages of the gods. Each year, the world withers and is reborn again. As you would know, there are 280 days of the year, as there are 280 days in any birth cycle for us. The power to give life is the deepest power in the world, Lysanna. You will tithe for this power 10 times a year for your gift. Death is always out there. It devours the world every chance it gets. You save the world by creating life and keeping it safe. You keep it alive. Continuity, tradition, both your blessing and your burden. You walk from the tunnel space back to the square exit of the Riddle. The spirit with you fades with each step. But her courage and her echo forward you carry with you forever. Your mother awaits you at the edge. She embraces you. She wraps you in warm, clean clothes, and she weeps with you at the woman you've become. They take you from this place to a small grove near the Riddle, where they properly wash and dress you, and then begin work on some of your first tattoos. And that is where we're going to call this episode to a close. So I want to thank Heather for playing Lysanna. I hope you've all enjoyed her path through the riddle. As no two are alike, I'm certain the next we do will be quite interesting. So thank you and good night.
Good night.